I wanted to congratulate you both. So Daniel, Golden Globe.
Thank you very much.
Nomination.
Yeah, amazing, right?
And Luca, Challengers and Queer. Thank you so much for giving me and the gays life this year. I loved this film. I can't remember the last time I felt so many different emotions, from aroused to confused, happy, sad, titillated, and again aroused and confused. Was that your intention, to take the viewer on all those emotions of the film?
The most difficult thing is to understand what tonally you're going to do. So I decided early on to stop thinking about the tone and to really go intuitively in that direction and trust the journey. So I don't know. I think our guide was William Burroughs. And the book of William Burroughs is written in such a way and with such a form that is all the things you listed.
There are so many components to this film that make it more than just a romantic drama, which I loved. I liked this abstract and surreal elements of the film. How do you think those elements do contribute to William and Allerton's story?
Because this is a William Burroughs novel, the transfer to the screen of the words on the page had to take in consideration his imagery. And so we couldn't do a period drama. Otherwise, we would have made a movie about William Burroughs and then Lewis Marker and John Vollmer, the wife, because they lived together in that moment. But in fact, that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to do a movie about and from within the scope of imagination of Burroughs, and also the reticences that Burroughs had to put on the page because it was too close emotionally for him to go very deep into that. So we had to be like detectives and find through the words the cracks that could open up our knowledge of what he was feeling in this background that is his imagination. I think, so to answer your question, yes, it's very important to enhance the quality of how you experience this love story between these two different versions of repressed men.
Did you like that it was more than just a romance?
The wonderful thing about receiving a script like this, when you get a character that is as complex and it has all of those elements and is a romance and is love. The first conversation we had with each other was, it's a love story. And that was, we started from there, that's where we ended up. But within that, there's everything else going on, and the complication of this relationship, the complication of where they are in the world at the time, combined with William Burroughs' crazy imagination. It's like all of those things that play a part.
Yeah. This film has made a lot of headlines for its saucy sequences. Are you sick of talking about that yet? Are you happy to talk gay sex with Gay Times?
Of course. More than happy.
Why do you think it has made so many headlines? I mean, I'm guilty of it. I've written articles about the gay sex in this.
Listen, we would have failed if we'd done this movie and we hadn't portrayed the sex, I think, in the way that we did. I think that would have been a failure. It's not in the book, yet it is in the book. It's there. If you look, it's there. The feelings of lust, of love, of desire are all in the book. And as the film, it's about a lot of things, but one of the things it's about is about connection and about making connection. And one of the best ways we make connections with each other is through, as you say, saucy sex scenes.
Fornication. How did you make sure that the sex scenes were integral to the story and not just provocative and kinky?
We didn't talk about them a lot. They're written in the script. We all knew what was coming. We're all adults. It's not very sexy on a movie set when you're filming a sex scene.
It's actually funny.
I mean, it's funny. And I would say that was the bottom line, is that we laughed a lot. Right. And Drew and I were laughing a lot all the way through it. But I felt that gave it it was a connection, that we were laughing together. And we tried to make that connection in the scene. So it was through trusting each other, respecting each other, being kind of sensitive to each other, but just giggling like schoolboys. Okay. I mean, because it's also, I mean, that's what one often does when one's making love. It's like you giggle. It's funny. It's a connection, and all sorts of emotions come out. We didn't censor ourselves in the emotions that came out. The laughing you hear in the scene is real, right? Because it was funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, and Luca beautifully kept it in the movie, and I think that's hopefully what makes the scenes feel, our job was to make them real, and Luca's job to make them real. That's it. Full end of story.
Okay, which one was the funniest then? What was the funniest moment? Come on,
it was
tell
all
me.
Funny. No, it was all funny. It was just, I can't remember. We just giggled a lot. We just made, we made each other laugh.
Yeah.
Not while we were filming, but after, when the camera was cut, we were making each other laugh. And also making the crew are in a kind of, they're witness to it, and they're nervous as well. Yeah. So I'm kind of winking at the cameraman and going, yeah. You've got to kind of make everybody feel comfortable, which might not.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I mean, I can't imagine. I'm not an actor and I wasn't getting naked with Drew Starkey in the woods. But I can imagine that was quite funny because it was quite funny movements. A dance, right?
It was. No, and we did... we worked with two brilliant choreographers, Sol Leon and Paul Lightfoot, who came in and taught us two non-dancers a very complicated dance routine, and that was Luca's and Justin's brilliant, inspired idea. It's not in the book. They don't take ayahuasca in the book, but we wanted them to have this connection in the film. Luca wanted them to have this connection in the film, I suppose, so that we could see a moment where they could have been together, and that they're not, and that makes it more tragic and makes the movie sadder and more hot, more emotional. But it's a dance, and how does one represent? It's a lot of movies. I've seen a lot of movies, I'm sure you have, where people take drugs and it's just not very interesting. So we wanted to represent it in a way that was as moving and as beautiful and as hypnotic and as all the things that ayahuasca may or could be.
Do you remember the dance still?
No.
I was going to say, you should just stop by the gay club, make a really random appearance and just get on the dance floor and do it.
Imagine.
In the cinema, we're starting to see more nuanced portrayals of queerness, which is really lovely to see. How do you see this film making a step forward for LGBT representation in mainstream cinema?
I don't know. I am a little bit confused because I don't divide mainstream and non-mainstream cinema. Chant d'Amour by Jean Genet is one of the greatest movies ever made. It's 30 minutes. Is it mainstream? Is it not mainstream? It's an incredible portrait of male desire for male. I don't know. I don't make that division. And honestly, I don't care about it. I don't believe in it. I think that the movies have to be great. And if they're not great and they advance the visibility of a minority, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. The good thing is a great movie.
Yeah.
I know that sounds a little bit harsh, but it's what I think. Honestly, there is a very, very almost unpleasant movie about gay representation in Cruising by Bill Friedkin, which generated a huge wave of, I would say, righteous disdain from the community, yet it's a masterpiece. What can we do?
Yeah. I really want to ask you some spoilery questions.
Sure.
Because I need to know, right, at the end of this film, I was convinced that Allerton and Lee did like each other, were in love. I'm a bit romantic secretly, and I feel like there was something there. I have my own interpretation of the ending, but I want to know how you both
What is your
perceived
interpretation? I think you're right, but anyway, what is your interpretation?
Well, my interpretation was during the drug-infused scene where they kind of merged bodies, that was maybe Allerton coming to terms with his sexuality, and that's why he ran off into the woods. That's how I saw it. I'm not sure if that's how other people saw it. And then I was obviously heartbroken when they did not reunite at the end, but that's life.
It's like Dr. Zhivago, when the Lara and the train goes. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So how did you, well...
I think I agree completely with you. You're totally right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Allerton opens this door, finally releases himself in that, and is terrified. Because what is the most terrifying thing, if not the proximity with the other?
Yeah. I want more of them.
There is a great song by Arto Lindsay called Camo, Dark Stripes, and there is a beautiful lyric that says something in the line of, you must be brave to become two.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage. And I think they try, and they fail. But they meet in dreams.
Where did he run off to?
With the colonel in Guatemala. I think he's a secret agent. That's my theory about Allerton.
Secret agent. Okay, all right. Final question. You have followed in the footsteps of your very iconic wife with some queer roles.
Well, I think I did them first.
Okay, all right. She followed in your footsteps.
Oh, no.
But I wanted to ask you, you two are now, whether you like it or not, forever embedded in LGBTQ plus culture. How do you feel about that?
I mean, how wonderful. That's amazing. Any community that'll have me.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the next film where he's gay and she's a lesbian.
Right.
All right, together, they're best friends.
I think all of us checked those boxes many times. So we should do something different.
Yes,
right?
maybe. I think we might have done that.
But I would love to work with Rachel. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I love her. Can you tell her I love her from Gay
I will,
Times?
of course, I will.
Thank
We
you.
say it too.
Yeah.